Welcome to The Drive with your automotive experts and hosts, Lauren Fix and Karl Brauer. Each week we deliver the latest breaking news, vehicle reviews, and inside look at what's happening in the automotive world. Buckle up, it's time to hit the road with The Drive.
Hello, welcome to The Drive with Lauren and Karl. We are back again with the latest episode, and today we've got an extremely special guest. I'm going to let Lauren introduce him because she knows him even better than I do, and he's got an impressive pedigree that I don't have a chance of knowing. So Lauren, take us away.
Welcome back to The Drive. I'm Lauren Fix, and our special guest is Greg Damon. Now, I've known Greg for a long time. Actually, I think I met him before this, but he is a Golden Wrench Award winner because he is an ASE technician and a master tech and has decades of experience. We know each other from radio. We know each other from television. We know each other in person. So, Greg, welcome to the show. Tell us a little more about yourself, because I know you've done a lot. You've worked in the dealer environment and you have your own place. So tell us more.
That's right. So I've been around automotive my entire life. So, started working at 14 years old. So that shows you. And, I'm just over 29 now. So it's just been a few years. But first off, thanks for all the kudos for introducing me. I don't know if I can, hopefully I'll live up to that. But Master ASE certified technician, L1 certified, and we'll get into those a little bit more. Also X1 certified, service consultant certified, parts certified. So all sorts of stuff that I've done in my life. As Lauren said, I won the Ultimate Golden Mechanic contest back in Las Vegas in 2007, where at that time was considered one of the best mechanics in the country. So now I've transitioned more into the general manager role, service, more than service manager role, and run a complete auto repair facility where we fix anything from weed eaters to big boom trucks. So whatever you have, we'll be more than happy to take a look at it.
Now, you were also the past host of the KMOX Auto Show, which I was a guest on frequently. And this show does air in St. Louis on KMOX. So say hello to your listeners.
Hello, everybody. Yep. The host of the auto show for 20 years. So, yeah.
Well, so I wanted to talk a little about ASE. I don't think people realize I'm an ASE technician, but for brakes, and that's my specialty. But there's so much more to that. You want to explain what that means and what that gear means outside the shops?
Yeah, absolutely. So ASE, my profession is one of the only profession that you do not have to be certified or formal education to do. If you want to be a plumber, you have to go to school to be a plumber. If you want to be an electrician, you got to go to school to be an electrician. You want to be a doctor, you have to be, go to school and be certified and pass all these tests. So ASE is actually a voluntary test requirements for people that want to advance in the automotive industry. They have literally tests for everything. As you heard me talk about, they have tests for parts consultants. They have tests for service consultants. They have all sorts of automotive tests. Not only that, they have heavy duty tests. They have school bus tests. They have electrical car tests, or hybrid test as well. So it's something that you take pride in yourself, and you take pride in your work. You want to advance your career. This is one way to do it, because as I always tell my guys, hey, look, take all the training you can, take all the certifications you can, because no matter where you go, nobody can ever take that away from you. It's the best tool in your toolbox. And it's really tough. I mean, you have to pay for the test yourself, or hopefully your company will pay for it. Go take the test. The tests are pretty hard.
Yes. They are.
To go through it. I've been a recertified master 4 times now. And I'll run down just what a master tech. I had to pull it up because I couldn't remember.
It's a lot of tests. And I've
so
sat through those tests and walked in, they're looking at me like, there's not too many women that do this. So especially
No,
when
exactly.
and look at me like I don't belong.
So the first test is engine repair. That's 50 questions. The second test is automatic transmissions, which is also 50 questions. Manual drivetrain and axles, 40 questions. Suspension, steering, 40 questions. Brakes, 45 questions. Electrical and electronic systems, 50 questions. Heating and air conditioning, 50 questions. Engine performance, which is how the engine runs and performs, 50 questions. And now they've added another one called light vehicle diesel engines, which is 50 questions. And that's just, if you take all those and pass those, that's just to become a master tech. I'm also X1 certified, which means undercar, which would be like exhaust and more suspension and things like that. I'm also L1 certified, which is advanced performance, or a lot of computer diagnosis that you go in and to pass that test very hard. They give you a wiring schematic that you have to build a car around and figure out problems with that.
Okay. Wow. So a lot of tests, and clearly you've passed them all, and you've got some incredible experience, not just knowing how to work on the cars, but I'm sure you've been working on the cars. And so
Yes,
there's a wide range of questions we want to ask you, Greg, about
absolutely.
what you're seeing, trends, what's going on in the industry, what's changed over the last 20 years, those kind of things. We're going to take a quick break right now, pay some bills, and we are going to be back with The Drive with Lauren and Karl and with Greg Damon, Certified Tech.
Welcome back to The Drive. This segment is brought to you by Classic Tube. Prevent brake, fuel, and transmission lines for your collector car, your new car, and even your modified car. Don't forget to check out their stainless braided hoses as well at classictube.com.
All right.
I'll throw a testimonial in there. Sorry. I'll throw a testimonial for Classic Tube because I've actually used them personally in my business. And I'll tell you what, I've never had an issue with it.
Thank you.
They're bent on perfection. So that
Yes.
sounds right. So I have a bunch of questions, Greg, because I have seen, obviously we've all seen the evolution of the hybrid drivetrain over the past 20 plus years. Everyone always forgets the first company to sell a hybrid in this country was actually Honda with the Insight in 2000. Then Toyota showed up with their home market Japanese version of the Prius from 2001 to 2003. It was kind of looked like an anime car. It was kind of goofy looking. Now I'm sure they have some kind of novelty of potentially collector because there weren't many sold. But 2004, they had the redesign that was meant for the US. It was hugely successful. I always credit or blame, depending on how you want to look at it, Leonardo DiCaprio and his crew showing up at the awards ceremonies in Hollywood. The rumor was that they got there in limos, and 2 blocks away they hopped in Priuses to drive the last 2 blocks. But who knows if that's true or an urban legend. And I used to commute from Camarillo to Santa Monica when I worked at Edmunds, and I made jokes that over about a 2-year period, 1 to 2 year period most, the P in Pacific Coast Highway stopped meaning Pacific Coast. It meant something else that started with a P because they were everywhere, and all the Hummers and the Land Rovers that had been so popular up until the mid 2000s vanished. So there was quite a statement that everyone was trying to make. So those cars, a lot of them are still running on the road. You still see a lot of those first generation Priuses driving around. And apparently they don't even have replaced batteries in many cases. I'm sure the battery capacity is down, but people are still using them. And I know Lauren is kind of skeptical on, well, should you buy a hybrid? It's 2 drivetrains. And I used to be like that too. I used to think, how can you do well over time when you're adding complexity to a drivetrain? But I can't believe Toyota is selling tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of Priuses and a bunch of other hybrids in the last 10 years plus. And nobody's running around saying, these things are terrible. I'm paying too much money. They cost too much to own. They break down all the time.
Well, every brand has hybrids.
So yeah, they're everywhere now. So with that massive lead up, what is your opinion of hybrids versus gasoline? And is there a concern if you're buying a hybrid because it's going to cost you more and be more troublesome?
Well, so hybrids have come a long way. I mean, they've come a long, long way. They are a lot better than what they used to be. But again, they do have 2 drivetrains. Here's my thing. So on paper, it looks great. Same with electric cars. It looks great. Saving fuel, helping the environment, everything else. For us here in the Midwest, where do we manufacture electricity? We manufacture electricity by burning coal. So if it's a plug-in hybrid, you're using more electricity than you are if you just have a gasoline engine. Where's the pollution? Where's the trade-off? The pollution from the electric plant or the pollution from the car? So that's number one. That's if you got a plug-in hybrid, obviously. The 2 drivetrains can be way more expensive. It is way more expensive for maintenance on your vehicle as well for a hybrid. Not only do you have your regular oil changes, but you have coolant flushes, suspensions wear out. You got to understand these cars are a lot heavier than other cars with the battery that's inside of it. Tires wear out. You have to use special tires. They cost more money. I will tell you, I just had to put 1 tire on a hybrid Lexus, and the tire was $440 just for 1 tire. That's not installed. That's just the cost of the tire, because they're low rolling resistance tires. It's harder on the suspension systems. They're a little cramped inside for me. I'm a big guy, so it's a little cramped inside for me as far as creature comforts. But I know a lot of people that have hybrids and they absolutely love them. I know a lot of people that have hybrids and they say, hey, guess what? I want to get something else because I just really don't like it. A lot of the engines today, and people think on this hybrid system that the engine actually, when the engine starts, it powers the powertrain or powers the wheels. It does not do that. It just supplies electric to the generator to be able to power the wheels. My biggest concern is what people don't understand is it is hazardous waste. So when that battery goes bad, you have to pay hazardous waste for it. When I ship that battery in, it costs me money because it's hazardous waste. It can only be shipped on a truck and trailer. It can't be flown or anything else. So it really boils down to that. I mean, what is your cost of ownership for the Prius? Yeah, you save some gas money, but what is your cost of ownership in the end? And I'm going to throw this to you. 10 years is about average for a battery. Most of the batteries are $8,000 and up.
Wow.
Okay. So if your car is 10 years old, what is it worth? And what is it worth compared to putting a new battery in? Is it worth it to do that? Most people will not replace the battery. Most people will get rid of that vehicle. So that means it's either on the lot or they're trying to scrap it. Again, it becomes hazardous waste.
So if you're running a gas and a hybrid, everyone's kind of loving these new hybrids, whether they be plug-in or otherwise. And we just drove the brand new RAV4, and that's all they're doing, electrified, 100%. We've discussed off air because we're friends, Greg, about the transition between the electrification and then going over to gas. Are there times when that transition doesn't work, and then I come to you as a customer and say, hey, it was working one way, now it's just running as gas, or now it's just running as electric? What kind of costs are consumers looking at in that type of situation?
Well, the diagnosis cost, first of all, is more expensive than to diagnose, let's say, a check engine light on a gasoline engine. So if there's some sort of electrification issue, it's going to cost more money to do that. Not only that, for the shops, you have to have somebody that's certified to be able to do that. It takes special equipment. We have to wear special gloves. Not only that, we have to cordon off an area in the shop to where nobody can get around, because let's face it, if you touch something, one of the hybrid wires, the battery wires, it could really potentially harm you and do major damage to you yourself if you're not careful and know what you're doing. Not only that, and I've had this, we talked about this on my show, is I have a good friend of mine that is a fire captain. He's a chief captain of the firehouse. And we had him on talking about that. And, when there's a car crash or a car fire and they roll up to that, they have to know how to be able to go in and disconnect that battery, whether it's electric car or hybrid car, to be out of harm's way, because they just can't go cutting the A-pillar where the battery cable runs up, and then all of a sudden they get injured as well. So people just they don't look at the big picture, or they're not informed enough about the big picture for that.
Well, it's true. We're going to take a break and pay some bills, as Karl loves to say. And we'll be right back. We have a lot more questions for Greg. And one of the nice things is you can find us on social media at The Drive Car Show. Ask your questions. We'll bring Greg back in the future, and of course, some of our other past guests, and we'll get some of your questions answered. So stay right with us. We'll be right back. Yeah, we always talk about the costs. That's one thing I want people to really realize. Like you're always saying, oh my gosh, someone brought in a fill in the blank, because it's always something. And man, these cars have tons of expenses that people don't realize. Like the battery works fine, the gas has a problem, or the transition from one form to the other. Those costs are ridiculous. Right. And I don't think people realize that, because they're like, oh, it's a gas car, I bring it in, and, oh, it needs a fuel pump. Oh, fuel pump's a couple $100 plus service, I think the costs are going to surprise people down the road, especially when our brand goes all electric.
Oh, absolutely.
Electrification, shall I say.
All right, we are back on The Drive with Lauren and Karl and our special guest, Greg Damon, talking about, automotive costs and mechanicals and repair work and all the things that Greg's an expert on. Now, Greg, you were just telling us that, the costs related to hybrids are something that people should be aware of. They can impact ownership, long-term ownership, and whether that makes sense versus a gasoline car because it is a more complex drivetrain. Would you say that you see more repair work in general on hybrids, that they do, that they do tend to need more maintenance than a typical car? And is that true right from day one, or is it true later on? They're about the same as gasoline cars for the first few years, and then all of a sudden they get much worse. What would you say is a typical hybrid gasoline cost comparison?
Yeah, they are about for the first couple of years pretty even as far as a gasoline vehicle. But there is some more maintenance costs associated with that, as long as the customer is aware of that. What I don't know many customers that have that. What's that thing called? It goes in a glove box. It's got a bunch of pages, and
The owner's manual, the one
owner's
underneath
manual,
all the
that's it.
napkins and ketchup packs.
Yeah, exactly. A lot of people don't read that and really look at the maintenance as to what is due and when it's due. And I will say this for all cars today: maintenance. You have to do your maintenance. You have to do it, or these cars are like throwaways. So hybrids are no different. They have other stuff that needs to be done on top of that, and you have to make sure the charging system works. Have to make sure your big battery works, your small battery works, all the electronics they put on them as well. Yes, maintenance costs are extremely high.
I think that's overlooked when people buy new cars. They lease them and they go, I don't have to worry about them. I lease it, drive it, return it. And then they get the bill at the end when they turn in their lease and they're like, oh, why am I paying a fee to turn in my car? It's not just the fee that you signed on your contract. It's the fact that you didn't rotate your tires. You didn't change your oil.
Correct.
Exactly.
I'm sure you see that more so than not.
Yeah, tires are outrageously expensive for electric cars and hybrid vehicles because it's just such a special compound. It's a low rolling resistance, very sticky compound. Don't last as long, higher cost. So, but it does stick to the road. That's what you want.
Right. And I assume that how does that impact brakes when you're looking at a hybrid purchase versus a gasoline powered car?
Well, the brakes it's a bigger brake system. Usually, a lot of that has regenerative brakes on it. Some of those hybrids have electronic brakes as well, like parking brakes, things like that. And that's a higher cost. It's a higher cost for products. It's a higher cost for labor. Everything's higher for it.
So, but don't you also do fewer brake jobs? I hear that brakes last longer on hybrid vehicles because there's regenerative braking that's taking up a big percentage of the total braking effort.
Well, that's true, but then you have to look at where do you live for the hybrid? Do you drive mostly highway miles for that, or if you're in stop and go traffic, it's going to wear the brakes a lot faster.
I've had these conversations before with other automotive people who have said that the tires don't wear down quicker or the brakes. And I'm like, the tires do. And that's why when you look at like even a Tesla, you go to get tires and it's way more expensive because not just the cost of the tire, but my daughter went through this. She had a Jaguar F-Pace and she ended up getting rid of it because it was so heavy that it was going through tires every year. Is that what you're seeing a lot of every year replacing 4 tires?
Absolutely. And again, it depends on how you drive it, but those tires are very sticky, which means they don't last as long because they're so sticky, and they have to be low rolling resistance because obviously you want to get as much fuel economy as you can out of that vehicle.
And that's true with electric cars as well.
Yeah, that's definitely true with electric cars. We know they weigh a ton. I can't believe the kind of downward force going on say the new Hummer EV. I mean, the thing weighs like 10,000 pounds. And it's another thing. It relates to nothing related to cost or wear, but it's also ironic and kind of scary. My understanding, I've seen different reports, is that there's all sorts of stuff in the air that we're breathing, and some of it is much worse than others. Among the worst things you can breathe, according to what I've seen in multiple sources, is tire particulate. Tire particulate is extremely bad for you. And so if we're talking about the environment and keeping people healthy, apparently if you're driving around anywhere near a Hummer EV or you're inside one and you got the windows down, the amount of tire dust that thing's creating, not because it's doing burnouts or off-roading, just rolling down the road because of the weight that's being put on those tires, is putting out a cloud. You're probably not seeing it, but your lungs are breathing it. That is terrible. It's a terrible type of cloud of particulates coming off these tires that are being extra grinded down extra quickly because of the extra weight of these vehicles, particularly really heavy ones.
Yeah, you're 100% correct. And I'll just throw an analogy out there. Everybody's seen a NASCAR race, right? You've seen those guys scrubbing their tires, moving back and forth. You look at the track, and there's all sorts of tire debris, and that's just on 43 cars, about 200 miles. Imagine what it's like on the highway, not just with hybrid cars or electric cars, but with every car. And all the tires, how they wear down, all the micro particles of tire material all over the highway, all over the street in front of your house, all in your driveway as well.
Wow, that plus brake pads.
Yeah, absolutely. 100%.
And there's brake pads too. Yeah, I know. I think a lot of people, and then you talked about the toxicity of the batteries when they're at the end of their life cycle and what's involved there. So these are a lot of things that I think a lot of the environmentalists don't want to talk about or focus on, but what it takes to get that lithium out of the ground and then what it takes to get rid of it when you're done using the battery. These are all things that do not necessarily contribute to better health or healthier planet.
Or your wallet.
Or your wallet, as you're telling us. So, all right, well, this is great information. We are going to take another break, and I want to make sure everyone knows that this segment was brought to you by IC Cars, iccars.com, the #1 car search internet engine, where you can not only find all the car listings across the country, but a lot of great information and studies about what you should be buying, what's going on in the industry. IC Cars leverages data. Let data drive you. Check out iccars.com.
Welcome back to The Drive with Lauren and Karl. We have our special guest, Greg Damon, ASE Certified Master Tech and Golden Wrench Award winner. And in addition to that, Greg was the previous host of KMOX Auto Show. So if you're listening to us in St. Louis, you are lucky enough to get to listen to Greg again. But this time we're talking about one of our favorite subjects. And he's smiling over there. And if you want to see us on video, you can check us out on our YouTube channel, The Drive Car Show. Also, we're on X as well as Facebook. So make sure to put your comments in there. So extended warranties, we all have had the phone calls. We've seen the commercials. It's the best thing. Every sales used and new dealer lots trying to sell you an extended warranty. Now it's time to tell the truth. Greg, go for it.
Oh man, how much time we got on this? How much time can we go on this? No, I'll just start at the dealership. So, the salesman, you go buy a car and the salesman will tell you, hey, let's get an extended warranty because it's a bumper to bumper warranty. Bumper to bumper warranty. You don't have to pay for anything. Well, that is not true. I'm going to be the first guy to tell you it is not true. I think there's some really good extended warranty companies, and I think there's some that is just not worth their money at all. It's like throwing your money out in the street. Some of the good ones work really hard to make sure that they take care of their customers. Some of the bad ones, they will write in there that it's only internally lubricated parts that they cover. So I'll tell you a quick story. Was at the dealership. They sold a Chevy Equinox to a customer. It was a used vehicle. They bought an extended warranty. 2 weeks later, it was cold out. It was about 0 degrees out. They had an issue with the PCV valve that froze. So what happens is this customer's driving it down the highway. The PCV valve was frozen. The engine couldn't breathe. So what does it do? It's got to go somewhere. The pressure's got to go somewhere. It blows the rear main seal out. So they're on the highway, lose all their oil. Of course, what happens? The engine locks up. Have it towed to the dealership. Yep, we check it out. It's got a rear main seal that's out of it. It's leaked all over the place. We get the extended warranty, and they come over and they say, well, we cover internally lubricated parts, but seals and gaskets aren't one of the things that we cover.
But it holds the lubricant in the engine.
I understand.
I know you know that, but for our listeners, there's been a lot of lawsuits, federal lawsuits, and I've covered that on my Car Coach Reports channel a lot. And people get very angry when they paid good money for a service or a warranty, because essentially it's an insurance policy, and they get stuck with a very large bill.
Yeah, absolutely.
They weasel out of it, essentially, is what they're doing. They're weaseling out of their obligation.
Well, it's like you said, it's an insurance company. So they want to pay you the least amount of money they can. I will tell you this, for the shop owner, for the service manager, for the service writers that deal with these extended warranties, it is becoming a harder and harder process. Number one, so at our shop, there's actually one of the biggest nationally advertised warranty companies we just will not take anymore. It's because I was on hold with them for 4 hours waiting for them to pick up the phone. That's just to answer the initial phone call. First off, it's about 2 to 3 phone calls and may take 2 to 3 days. Meanwhile, your customer doesn't have their car. So
Well, we've
some of them
seen
are very good,
used
some of them
parts,
not
we've
so good.
seen non-factory parts, we've seen Chinese parts, which we're going to talk about in the next segment. So make sure to stay with us for the rest of the show. But this is very interesting in these extended warranties, because I think people don't realize when you buy something and they say it's included, that they didn't know there's a deductible either. And you're getting shortchanged. It's sort of when you go to the doctor and they say the insurance is only going to cover X, the rest is on the customer or the patient. In this case, that's the case.
Well, it's the same thing, because they will say, they'll say, what is your labor rate? We tell them what our labor rate. Oh, well, we only pay, let's just say, let's say our labor rate's $200. They say, oh, we only pay $150 per hour. Will you match that? No, I'm not going to match that. Your customer will have to make that up. Well, what is your parts cost? So this is our parts cost. Well, we only pay this on this part. Will you match that? Well, no, because we make money on parts as well. So this is the cost of it. Your customer will have to, well, we don't include fluids. We don't include, they'll pay tax, but they don't include diagnosis time. Some of them don't, and things like that. Of course, the customer has to pick up the end of it. So here's your customer thinking it's a bumper to bumper warranty. Now, all of a sudden, they've got these other costs involved, and you call them and say, your bill's $2,000, but your insurance company is only going to pay $1,500. Well, why is that? Well, then you try to explain to them. Now, some of these companies are saying, hey, do you care if I send you parts? I will actually send you the part. And so
what kind of part are you getting? A used part, something out of a salvage yard, a Chinese part? It's not going to be a factory part.
Well, they will send something, and we've had it done a couple of times, but we also tell them there's no warranty, absolutely zero warranty on this if you do that. And not only that, you have to pay us more labor, because where is my, I still have to make X amount of profit. Any business has to make X amount of profit. So you have to pay me X more labor. They do that because they want to try to keep the cost down as much as possible. So it's really getting tougher and tougher for companies to take these extended warranties. I know some of my fellow colleagues that won't take them at all. Hey, you want to come in, you pay me, then you can fight with your own extended warranty company.
Wow. So is it best to take that money that you would pay monthly on an extended warranty and just put it in an envelope, put it in a savings account, and if your AC fails, you just take that money out and use it for that? That's what I recommend for people.
Well, I think that's one way to go about it. I just got a general rule of thumb. First off, if you're going to buy an extended warranty, bring it in, let me look at it, and I will tell you whether it's a good one or not. I think if you put your car on a note, probably not a bad idea to go ahead and get an extended warranty. I think also if you pay cash outright, you could probably get by without the extended warranty. I mean, I'll tell you, cars are built a lot better than they used to be. I've been in this game a long time. But still, the parts cost are outrageous, and that is for anything today.
So I would agree with everything you've said, and I was lucky because we got a 2017 Kia Soul recently, a couple of years ago, and I got the bumper to bumper. It cost me $1,400, so it wasn't that much, and it has given me peace of mind, and it has actually saved us a few costs. So I figured at $1,400, I probably can't lose. It doesn't take many repairs at the cost of parts and labor to make that back. So I felt like I was pretty well covered. But this is a fascinating topic, and I think a lot of people are learning a lot from this. So thank you for that information, Greg.
You bet.
We're going to take.
Go ahead.
Yeah, we're going to take another break. We'll be right back with more topics and great information from Greg Damon with Lauren and Karl on The Drive. All right, we are back with The Drive with Lauren and Karl and our special guest, Greg Damon. And this segment is brought to you by Karl Brauer Cars. That might sound familiar. Wait, that's my name. That's my YouTube channel, Karl Brauer Cars. I'm putting up videos a couple times a week, mostly on the latest cars I've driven and reviews on whether you should buy them and what their pros and cons are. But a lot of other fun adventures I take too, and I'll record it there. So let's jump into, we were just talking about the cost of both these warranties, and hopefully they're saving you money when you're getting parts. But the parts thing you noted, Greg, is just out of control. They're so expensive. And I think that's making a lot of people frustrated when they get their bills, but it's also opening the door for people trying to cut costs or making it look like, oh, I'll save you money on parts in creative ways. And oftentimes when people get creative on saving money, a specific country is involved. But that's just my take as someone who's been on the front lines dealing with this. Please tell me what your opinion is and perspective is on parts costs and attempts to cut those parts costs.
Well, I will tell you, parts have risen exponentially, and throw tires in there too. Tires are a volatile market. Seems like they change pricing almost every day, as well. I will tell you this: parts acquisition is so hard to come by. Whether it's your local down the street auto parts store or your dealer. If you're an auto repair shop, obviously you want to procure the parts, get your customer taken care of, get it back on the road as soon as possible. A lot of times it's not like that. Most customers now will have to drop their car off for 2 or 3 days just so we can grab the parts from somewhere. Most of them have to come from from out of town. Not only that, they've went up, as I said, exponentially. Parts costs have went up. Obviously, labor costs have went up. As far as cars go as well. But not only that, parts out of the box, brand new parts. And I'm not talking just aftermarket parts. I'm talking OE parts. We've put parts on cars and I can't drive them out of the bay because I've got to turn around and get a different part because that part is defective.
This right from the factory, like an OE part?
OE parts, just right out of the box.
So why is that?
It's poor quality, poor manufacturing quality. I attribute this to a lot of maybe using not the right parts or not the right stuff to assemble that part, whether you're getting them from a foreign country or some other place like that. Also the manpower. Many of the workforce today seem like they don't care about the quality of stuff that they put out.
So isn't some of the factory components also supply the aftermarket? So that's been going on for years. So I'll just say a fuel pump, for example, that's made for a production line that goes in the vehicle when it's new. That same company will sell the part that you would buy at Napa or O'Reilly's or AutoZone, whatever that might be. So is that what you're forced to do?
Well, yeah, sometimes you have to. I will tell you this. I have a truck in my shop right now. It is a 2022 Dodge Ram truck. It needs a brake control module. Okay. It is on national back order with no release date. I've had the car for a month already. And I talked to them on Friday. They still have no idea of when this part would come in. This is from Chrysler itself. So this customer is still paying on their truck. They cannot drive their truck.
Wow.
And these are the things I'm hearing. So I talked to a friend recently, and she's leasing a Maserati. And she has not had the car for over a year now because of some issue with diagnosing the problem and getting the parts to fix it. And the good news is that they're paying for her to have some BMW replacement, but she's paying a Maserati lease.
Right.
And she's been driving a BMW for the past year plus, and they can't seem to do anything about it at the dealer level or even the manufacturer level. And I just thought, man, that would be, I would have so little patience for that. I don't know what would happen, but it wouldn't have gone on a year for me. And
no.
I can't believe this, but this is apparently what you're talking about, Greg, where these things just drag on and your car is unavailable to you.
So we had a customer that had a big truck. It's a landscaping company, diesel truck. The DEF pump went out. The DEF fluid pump went out.
Red blue. That's for diesel vehicles only, for exhaust fluids. So it reduces the emissions.
So not only that, but it will start counting down and say, hey, you only have so many miles to drive it. And then the truck will shut off and you will not be able to start it. So he brought it to us with 20 miles on it. This is the summertime. It's our busiest time of the year. We had the truck there, diagnosed it as a DEF pump. We called the dealer to get a pump for it. It is on a stop sale. So that means anybody that had it, stop sale. And there is on national back order, no release date. It took 9 months to get this part, and it just showed up at our door one day.
So is that something you can go to a salvage yard or aftermarket? There's no aftermarket sites, because a lot of times you can go to I'm not promoting this company, but like Diesel Brothers, you could call them and say, hey, I've got this problem, because I have a diesel Cayenne, which I've had since 2016. And I get very worried when I see that, X amount of AdBlue left. But I would love to rip it out. Hopefully with the new EPA regulations, we can do that.
Well, DEF is not a very good system. I mean, you should see it crystallize and all sorts of stuff. It really wreaks havoc on a
That's
lot
what
of
I've heard.
components. Especially you can't have DEF just laying around either. Like you use half a container, you can't leave it laying around and reuse it.
Right.
Yeah, I've heard various nightmare stories related to DEF, and it makes me wonder who was involved in that certification and who made some money off the requirement of DEF. Because not that I would suggest or be cynical and think that there's money behind an otherwise bad consumer law or experience, but maybe that happens every once in a while, like on occasion.
Well, consumers will even put DEF in their fuel tank because usually they're right next to each other, and they'll end up putting DEF in their fuel or fuel in their DEF, and it's just a mess.
That's a very expensive bill. I know
Expensive,
someone
yeah.
that put diesel in a gas vehicle because they saw it at the pump and they thought that was the premium, put it into a Ferrari. It was actually my father who did this. He's no longer alive, so he can't yell at me later. He's yelling at me from above. But yeah, it was extremely expensive because they had ripped the whole fuel system apart. And imagine that in a Ferrari, let alone a Kia or a Chevy.
That's when you go, how much?
Yeah.
Just leave the
Yeah.
check. We'll
Right.
fill
Yeah.
in the total for you.
That's right.
Wow. All right. Well, this is, again, more great information, Greg. Thank you for giving us more information. You want to watch out not just what car you're buying, but hopefully that you can get the parts for it too. We're going to take a quick break here on The Drive with Lauren and Karl, and we will be back with another great segment with Greg Damon.
Welcome back to The Drive with Lauren and Karl. This segment is brought to you by Car Coach Reports, where I will give you the unfiltered truth, an insider's perspective on a wide range of automotive topics that are fun, fast, and with a little bit of attitude. You can check out all my car reviews at Car Smarts. Both are on YouTube, and we love your comments. Okay, now we're back with Greg Damon. And Greg, what we're talking about, I guess it all comes together with car maintenance and keeping your car longer. I think people are starting to do that. It was 10 to 12 years. Now people are keeping their cars 15 years and more. I have many older cars. I kind of like them better, even though Karl and I literally drive every new car. What's some advice you can give to our listeners and viewers on what to do to keep your car longer, what you can really do?
Change your oil.
And are you synthetic? Are you a synthetic guy or are you
100%? Yeah. So, I will tell you this. You see some of these manufacturers, again, you go back to the owner's manual, but you see some of these manufacturers saying, hey, you don't need to change your oil for 7,000 miles, 8,000 miles, 10,000 miles, 15,000 miles. There's absolutely no way I would ever do that. Ever, ever, ever. Yeah. I'm not an engineer. I'm not a chemist. I'm not a metallurgist, but I can tell you when I take a car apart, I can tell you who changes oil and who doesn't. This wreaks havoc on more vehicles by delaying your maintenance and either gives you an even larger bill or will end up ruining it where you have to get a different vehicle. I had a lady come in and she had a Hyundai, just happened to be a Hyundai Turbo. The turbo wasn't working on it. The car had 45,000 miles on it. She's had 3 oil changes in that 45,000. The oil feed line for the turbo was completely clogged. So it's just like your heart not getting blood. It just made the turbo wear out, no lubrication, and the bearings just seized up in the turbo. And obviously no warranty. So they had to end up buying a new turbo for this vehicle. And
how expensive was that?
Very expensive. Not only that, but you think about it, that turbo line completely clogged. How much sludge is in the engine? You're never going to get that out of the vehicle.
Wow.
Yeah, that's in there until you rebuild the engine. And that's interesting because I feel like the cars are as well or better engineered for longer lifespans than ever, but also because they're more precise, right? Like everything, the engineering tolerances and the machining and all that, you used to have to break in the car so carefully, and a lot of that's been removed. But it's also raised the requirement to take care of the car. It's like the cars are better built and better engineered, and everything is like tighter and closer and just more precise. But that means the oil has to be there, or all those extra precision and all that extra, tightness in the engine that takes longer to wear out it'll actually flip the other way if you abuse your maintenance and neglect it. And you'll take the car that has a longer potential lifespan because of the improved engineering and shorten it more than you would have neglecting an older car, which would probably have been more. And of course, turbos are very delicate things. They're very specific, and all the electronic fuel injection systems, all these things, they work better, but they also have to be properly cared for, as you're saying. And we've got the longest lasting car study. We do it every year at Total Car Score. And we used to say how many cars could get to 200,000 miles, and we had to up it to 250 because too many cars were getting to 200, and we wanted to keep it kind of elite. What are the cars that are truly the elite cars in terms of quality? So we upped it to 250, and it's fascinating. We just released the list a few weeks ago. The best car was the Toyota Sequoia.
That's an
And
IC Cars, by the way, if you want to see it, it's ISEEcars.com.
Exactly. Thank you, Lauren. And that's where I've been working for years. I'm their executive analyst, and they've got so much data on everything. And I love looking at their data, and the longest lasting data is fascinating. 39.1% chance for the average Toyota Sequoia. That's their predicted chance to get to 250. It's almost 40% chance for a Toyota Sequoia. Just to give perspective, its average is 4.8%. The average car is 4.8%. So it's almost 10 times.
Greg sees that every day.
I can tell you this, I have a 2008 Lexus GX 470 that's got 279,000 miles on it.
Wow.
Yeah. And I love hearing these stories. Believe it or not, I had a 2001 BMW 325 Ci. Now, a lot of people are like, BMW. I got it from a friend's older brother who'd taken very precise care of this car. I got it with 205. I drove it to 217, went to Palm Springs, Vegas multiple times, and then sold it to another person. And he's driving it because I got a newer one that I wanted even more with the bigger engine. So you can make a car last hundreds of thousands of miles. But all of these cars we're talking about, they've been properly cared for. That's the difference.
Well, 100%. I think the big thing is, if you live in the St. Louis area, go find Greg Damon. He will definitely take care of you. And we'll have you back in the future because we love having Greg Damon from the KMOX Auto Show for the locals. But for those on a national basis and those online, you can watch us again. Share this with your friends on YouTube. It's The Drive Car Show, or you can find The Drive with Lauren and Karl. We are on X. We are also on Facebook. If you want to rerun this or see some of the other segments with Mike Harley, with Alan Taylor, with some of the other great, we had some really fantastic guests, and we'll have them back. Also, if you want to follow us in The Drive, follow us on your local radio station. And every week we will be bringing you a different guest that'll bring a different insight, a different perspective that you're not going to get anywhere else, because we find trusted sources that'll give you the latest car news, expert reviews, and real insight in the automotive world. You can find Karl at Karl Brauer Cars on YouTube. I'm at Car Coach Reports and Car Smarts. And Greg Damon, thank you so much. We appreciate it.
Love it. Love being on. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
You've been listening to The Drive, your trusted source for the latest car news, expert reviews, and real insights into the automotive world. Thanks for riding along with us today. You can check out the entire archive of every episode on our YouTube channel, The Drive with Lauren and Karl. Be sure to subscribe so you never miss an episode, and join the conversation by leaving your comments. We love hearing from you. Until next time, stay safe, enjoy the ride, and we'll see you right back here on The Drive.